Hello, welcome to Less is So Much podcast. This is actually take 2. Turns out being unscripted, which is what take 1 was all about, it's a lot harder to do than it looks or sounds. The Who. I'm a father, husband to a beautiful wife who is the reason for take 2. Happy wife, happy life. That's free advice completely outside of Less is So Much More. I'm a Jesus freak for 20 years strong, graphic designer for almost 10 years at this point, a marketer, occasional mascot, and now a part-time podcaster. The why. I first started a newsletter on LinkedIn called Less is So Much More. And that really got me going. And I thought to myself, I think the next best step is a podcast. So here we are. My ideal goal is to keep these podcasts to 10 minutes or less. That way, the audience doesn't get bored. I don't get bored. And we make sure that we tell you everything we need to and get our point across as quickly and efficiently as possible. Unless it becomes absolutely necessary that we have to go over that time to get whatever point we're trying to get across at that given point. What? Less is more because that's how we as humans process things. We are constantly bombarded with advertisements and marketing in everything, whether it's social media, whether it's on TV, whether it's in print, whether it's just Google simply listening in. We're bombarded and we're overloaded. And that's why I truly believe less is more all the time. Less is more applies to all aspects of our life, even outside of design. Now, as a graphic designer, there's definitely going to be a lot of times where that's what I touch on because that is my expertise. That's where my skills are. That's what I know. But at the same time, I know for certain that less is more applies to so many things, and that when I've applied that principle in other areas of my life or when I've seen other people use it to communicate more effectively, there's big results. And that's what we want to tap into. That's what we want to talk about. And that's what we ultimately want to equip people with. This podcast will touch on a variety of subjects, and we'll have discussions with other experts in various fields, and we'll get their experiences with how less is more in their own lives. So I did a poll on LinkedIn, and I asked people what they wanted to hear about in a Less is So Much podcast. And overwhelmingly, the poll showed that most of you want to hear about social media and how less is more applies to it. And I think that's a great starting point. So that's what podcast number 2 is going to be all about. Social media. Takeaway question. I'm throwing a little homework your way, though. My question for you all next week is, does a picture actually say 1,000 words? Or is that just an old saying full of crap? Is it crap or is it fact? You decide, and we'll talk about it next week. Wrap up! Well, that's it. That's this week's Less is So Much podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you guys next week. Smash the subscribe button. Tell your friends. Tell your boss, especially the boss that always tells you more is more is more. And you can find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. Justin, signing off.